Hoka, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of March the 15th, 2024. What storyline would you choose for an Alita fan fiction, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels? I am your host, the Muskogee Creek. And before we get into welcoming our guests, I want to make sure that everyone knows that, or not everyone, particularly Rosa, knows that we have her Queen Studios bus. We really want to present it to her as a, kind of an expression of our admiration and appreciation. And hopefully she'll get word of this and, we'll get this thing to her. And to welcome our guest, I guess, first up, is Lee, and he's from Fountain, Colorado. How's it going, Lee?
Yeah, pretty good.
Cool. How's things? Did you guys get a lot of snow down there?
Yep.
Yeah, we did too. We got like 1.5 feet. So it's really been locked up in the house for a 1.5 days at least,
Yeah.
So that's springtime in the Rockies, as they would say. So there you have it. And from Mentor, Ohio, we have Chaos Nova. How's it going, Chaos?
Pretty well. I'll mention the music stream. I'm just gonna have these music streams playing because I'm getting into the busy part of my year, so they should be fun on Friday.
Yeah, I kind of jumped on it for a little while there early on when you had it, but I had a meeting I had to go to and I couldn't stay on. So and that meeting went a little longer.
No, that's fine. That's really fine. Yeah. I mean, I just have it on as music so you can just stop by, listen to it for a bit, and be done.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay.
Anyway, yeah. Go check that out, everybody. It's on Chaos's YouTube channel. So anyway, and he's got some really good videos on there too. We highly recommend those videos. So anyway, thanks, Chaos. Okay, I guess first thing before we get into the main topic is the Alita, excuse me, getting tongue-tied here, Alita sequel petition, and there you see the link down below the image on your screen. Also, it is down in the description below the screen right here. So if you have not signed the petition yet, please click on that link and go to it and sign it. And let's let Disney know that we want those sequels. We want that actually plural, even though this petition started 4 or 5 years ago. So we didn't know about sequels at that point. We just thought it was going to be a sequel. And yeah, that's let me put that up here for you, Chaos. I'll put it in the chat. And there it is. I just put in the chat the music stream that Chaos has got going. So anyway, I think we only added 5 or 6 from last week, I think. But and I think the week before that we added like nearly 20. I can't remember, but it's still plodding along pretty good, and we got a lot of signatures on there. We're still shooting for that 200,000 goal, and we'll get there one day, eventually. And certainly 178,000 is enough to let Disney know that we want that sequel. Damn it. I'll put that on the end of it. Also, we got the Hero Arm campaign going. There's the link below that image, and we didn't put any money in it this past week, although what did happen last week in terms of our money situation was that as you guys some of you probably know anyway, that we were going to fly an airplane around the Oscars, but at the last minute the folks that were going to fly the banner for us couldn't fly because the conditions of the winds were too dangerous for them to fly, so they didn't fly, but they did refund our money. So anyway, I think Alita Rave and I put between the two of us.
Go ahead. You sent me the one about the advertisement. I'm trying to remember which one it was you sent me, and I put it up. I just need to.
Yeah.
I'll just make a community post of it so people can see it again because I feel it's still relevant. And thanks for sending it so I could post it.
Yeah, I can. As a matter of fact, I can put that on probably I don't know, OneDrive or not Google Docs, but I'll put it somewhere where you can download it, or you could probably download it off of YouTube and use it. I don't care. You go ahead and do that if you want. If you can download it off
I mean,
my YouTube.
it will be different if I do it because I'll put in my own music and subtitles.
Sure.
So that'll
Yeah,
distinguish
okay,
it. So we're both giving it.
Okay,
And it
that's
won't
cool.
be a
Yeah, can you?
copyright violation.
Well, it's not going to be a cop. Well, I guess it would be because I'm
I
using.
mean, if it shows
yeah.
it, yeah, but I make it distinct so that way we have multiple streams of media going advertising the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, can you download off of my YouTube channel, Chaos?
Yeah, I could, and I promise
Yeah.
that I will edit it with Filmora to make it a little different.
Oh, that's okay. I don't care. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's cool. Chaos is gonna, kind of give us another version of it. Excuse me, but of course we couldn't fly the plane because the conditions were so bad. But between Alita Rave and I, we kind of went halvesies on it, and we put $1,020 into it, I think, between the two of us. So we're going to have quite a bit of money. I'm not sure how much now, maybe over $5,000 in the Hero Arm campaign if we don't decide to use this extra grand we got for the refund toward another airplane. If we're not going to do that, then we're probably going to just put it in the Hero Arm campaign.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so
I just want to say I'd be willing to, give out later this year. I'd be willing to do a $50 Google ad for a live stream one of our live streams if we think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So just let me know.
Okay, cool. All right, I can do that. Sure. Well, anyway,
I haven't been remonetized yet, but I have been giving back my AdSense because I went inactive for a while. But I have been giving back my AdSense account so I can advertise with that. Yeah,
that's right. So I'm gonna put your other music stream in there too. So anyway, there's a Hero Arm.
I have it preset for next week because I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be in the office all day, really bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, there's the Hero Arm campaign link you see below the image on your screen there. Also, that link is down in the description below the screen. And if you find that a little bit too intimidating to get on there and, donate money, some folks think, feel a little intimidated by it. There's also a tip jar down there that is, I guess you could say it's more user-friendly. You just click on it, gives you 2 or 3, just maybe 3 options of how much you want to put in there. And you can pick one of the 3. And if you can't donate, don't beat yourself up for it. Once you see I have not been tweeting this out much lately because I've been kind of busy, but when you see a tweet on this promoting the Hero Arm campaign, just repost it. You'll have done your part, as part of an Alita Army member. If you do that, you don't have to give money to be in the Alita Army. That's for sure, because the main thing for all of us is we want to get that sequel, and we want to help others that are less fortunate, and make sure that that people know that we're a positive fandom, and that we mean well. Most of all. So anyway, both links for the GoFundMe and the tip jar are in the description below the screen. Okay. Now, before we get into any possible fan fiction stories, I just kind of want to revisit this a little bit. We did this, I think, gosh, this has been a while since we've done this, but we did a stream on these 3 fan fiction stories, and kind of discussed them all, and we'll discuss them a little bit here too. But I also want to concentrate on any other fan fiction stories that the panel can come up with, any kind of themes or any kind of storylines they might want to, kind of suggest or something like that. And also all of you in the chat, if you have any thoughts about what would be a good Alita fan fiction story, go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll put it up on the screen, and we'll talk about that as well. So we have these 3 fan fictions, and I think The first two are a lot better than the Creeks. The Creeks is a really short one. It's on YouTube. But Max Tack Dry did a fan fiction story, and actually it's kind of to me, it's going to be a lot like what at least part of what Alita 2 is going to be, and it's going to be about Alita and Motorball. Now, Maxie, we kind of ride him about this a little bit, but to say the least, don't we, Lee?
A little bit.
But he's coming up with chapter 11. But he's got right now he's got the Motorball arc in there, and it's a really good fan fiction. Maxie's a really good writer, so he's got all the elements in there that would continue from the story. Now, of course,
Yeah, I think his fanfic reads a little bit more like a novelization of a potential sequel for the movie. He seems to be fairly faithful to the kind of story the movie was laying out.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how far he's going to go with it. He says he's going to write chapter 11, and he's been working on that for what now? Oh, I would say probably 2 years.
Well,
something
I
like
want
that.
I want to thank Max at KranberriJam because they kind of helped
Yeah, I'm
me
gonna put that in there.
writing my thing. I'm going to really go into doing it scene by scene after National Tax Day is done.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, this is what you're talking about right here, I guess. Yeah.
That's true. Thank you for that there.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So anyway, we want to talk about these three first, very briefly, and then we'll go into the different fanfics that could be written by any of us. It doesn't have to be anybody on the panel here, or anybody y'all think, oh my God, that we want the regular Alita Army heavies, if you want to call us heavies, to write these fanfics. No, you can write a fanfic. You don't have to wait for anybody to give you the okay or anything like that. But anyway, that first one, Alita Fallen Angel, that's as Lee was saying, that's kind of written kind of like a novelization. It's got 10 chapters in it right now. It will have 11 as soon as Maxie writes it, and it may even go further than that. Because if he goes through the entire Zerkerpan arc, it's going to probably be 20 chapters, I would guess, or at least 15. So we'll see. Then we got Ghost in the System, and Alita Battle Angel story, and that is by our one and only Lee here. I know I have not been able to read this any more of this in the past couple of weeks because
That's probably for the best because the rewriting I've been doing is still ongoing.
Well, I've been kind of engaged in a project that I'm doing now, for a client. So I haven't been able to put too much into reading Alita. I have watched Alita, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But done that, but and I'm having a hard time keeping up just doing my videos and working on my project. So, but anyway, this is also a really good story. Now, most of this story, which we will talk about, is written from the point of view of a guy named Jason Deshane. And he's a guy that, which we'll talk about this in more detail, but he's a guy that's been, you could call him a time traveler, but although for him, it's going to be unbeknownst to him that he was made a time traveler, So anyway, it's a really neat story, and it's, a lot of interaction between Alita and Jason, which I find humorous in a lot of places. It's really funny what goes on in a couple of those places, And then, of course, I wrote a fanfic called Alita Into the Badlands. Now, it's a short. It's not as long as, say, Maxie's or Lee's. And it is a video. It's on YouTube. And it's about Alita going after Nova in the Badlands. So it's pretty good ways past the yellow door. She hasn't met Figure 4 yet, but she has, kind of gone through the yellow door and is now looking for Nova. Okay, so we'll get to the other stories when we just briefly review these. Now, here's Alita Fallen Angel, the fan novel that Maxie wrote. And basically, it's, as Lee said, it's written sort of like a novelization, meant to kind of fit whatever the sequel is going to be. And it's how Alita becomes pro motorball player, and of course she's still dealing with the loss of Hugo. I mean, it affected her mentally and emotionally quite a bit. And she's she's certainly has learned more and more about herself. It's been a while since I've read this, but it goes into some detail about some of the motorball, particularly a couple of the motorball competitions she was in the first league or the Champions League. So it's pretty neat. And so now she's aware of what her mission was to destroy Zalem, and that's what she wants to do, even if it is 300 years late. Max, Lee, have you or Chaos ever? I know you've read this, Lee. I think Chaos, have you read this? He might be dealing with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, all three of these fanfics that we're just going to briefly review here. The links are down in the description below the screen here. So if you want to go check them out, just click on it and it'll take you right to it, and you can, read it. You kind of scan through it if you want. I highly recommend you do that. Any thoughts about this, Lee? About this particular fanfic?
I think I've already pretty much covered him, but just looking forward to his next chapters.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and this is written from the point of view of Alita too. This is she's
just like a regular Alita Battle Angel story. It's written from her primarily her point of view.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really good. I like Maxie the way he describes some of the matches. That there was one of the matches where I guess she was she got damaged or something in a match, and she's she's on the sideline mostly while Joshigan and the other motorballers are playing, and she's itching to get back in the match and all that. And then there was one match I can't remember for sure she was in, but they actually tied, I think, in a match, and Joshigan calls her over, and I can't remember the exact details, but I think he holds her hand up with his, hey, we're the winners, something like that. That was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
This particular Joshigan here is not Emperor Joshigan like you would think in the manga, though. He's more of a continuation of the Joshigan that's in the movie, which is still pretty good.
But he has something to happen that is going to supercharge Joshigan's ability to make him more like the manga version, become much more of a threat to Alita's progression in Motorball. Yeah,
that's right. And I think Nova plays a major role in this and that kind of stuff as well. So, so anyway, check out this fanfic. It's really good. I quit bugging Maxie about chapter 11. I used to bug him every week, say, okay, because he would bug me because it took me a long time to read it because, you get busy and stuff like that. And, I just kept reading it when I could, and I'd finish a chapter here and finish one there. And finally, I got through 10 chapters, and he hadn't written chapter 11 yet. And ever since, I bugged him about where's chapter 11. So, and I still every now and then will say, well, it'd be nice to read chapter 11 of the Fallen Angel fanfic.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just to keep him going, because he really pushed me mercilessly for about a year and a half, to read this thing. So now it's my turn, as they would say.
Yep.
So, but anyway, I highly recommend this fanfic.
That's
and
really
then
good.
And then there's Lee's, which is also really good. Lee has a lot of details in this fanfic. Most of it is written from the point of view of Jason to Shane. But there is some really nice little interaction between Jason and Alita in this. And Jason is kind of a guy that, in present day, he lives up in Washington. Is it Washington or Oregon?
It was Washington State.
Yeah, he lived up in Washington, and he was, I guess, he met this girl or this woman, and they were living together, and I guess the woman had a son, and
she had 3 kids.
Yeah. Okay. You explained it.
Jason
Yeah.
had helped to basically raise over the course of the 30 years that they'd known each other. She had been married to somebody else who it turned out had been rather abusive, and when she divorced him, the two of them kind of got together and then settled down, and they were going to buy a house, get married, and grow old together. And then Jason, while he's driving along a road in a country road, he gets hit by some kind of temporal anomaly that takes him, his truck, and a portion of the Washington state countryside and transplants it into South America, where just not too far from Iron City.
Yeah.
And from there, he ends up trying to come to terms with the fact that he's not where he used to be anymore, and that he just lost his entire life, basically.
Yeah. That would be pretty traumatic. I mean,
yeah.
He not only lost his life, he lost the love of his life, actually, who at this point has now been dead for 540 years. So, or over 500 years. And, it's from his point of view, and now he's dealing with a mental illness.
Yes,
on top
he's
of that.
dealing with chronic depression and anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And after rationing his medication that he had with him, he has gone 9 months, actually I think a little over 9 months at this point in the story, without any medication, which means he is really struggling to hold himself together.
And Ito takes him in, because, you can explain this, Lee, if you want, but, Jason, I guess, goes to Iron City with, what was her name? His friend from the farm.
Loretta Sheffield.
Yeah,
she
Loretta,
is the daughter of a farmer who owns a small privately owned farm on the outskirts of Zolom's territory.
Yeah.
And it's one of the smaller farms that's just used as a sort of a auxiliary to augment the food that comes in from the regular factory-run farms to help feed Iron City's growing population. So that they can allow more of the better, higher quality food to go up to Zolom.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, he goes in with Loretta into Iron City, and then this cyborg attacks this one guy or something, this homeless guy, which
the two of them are at a restaurant. They just finished their deliveries. They have some time off, so they're just kind of spending it together. There's a altercation of some sort. Jason gets wind of it, realizes that what he's looking at is a augmented individual threatening this homeless guy for some reason, and it looks like he's about to kill him. So Jason, against all better judgment, steps in to try to talk the guy down, the cyborg.
Yeah.
And it works out really badly.
Yeah.
Jason ends up losing both of his legs, his left arm, and his right eye.
Yeah. And then, of course, as you probably guessed, then he meets Doc Ito.
Yes.
And Doc Ito starts patching him up, and Jason's physiology is not, would you say it's
his
not
physiology
compatible.
Is human.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with his physiology. He's perfectly human, all that. But apparently the anomaly has altered him in some fashion that makes it so that cybernetics don't hook up to his nervous system the way they normally should. As a result, Ito ends up pulling his hair out, trying to figure out what's wrong with Jason and why he can't get him walking again.
Yeah. And he meets Alita, and he
finds out she's not the monstrous killing machine he thought she was.
Yes, because he saw her in, I guess, some motorball matches, and all he saw of her on television was, oh my God, she's killing these. She's just destroying these cyborgs. She's
his only exposure to her had been her being the brutal warrior on the track.
Mm-hmm.
And that combined with what he had learned about Iron City and how people are just terrible to each other, he made some assumptions about her based on that. And
he finds out she's not as bad as...
she's not the person he thought she was.
Yeah, and they kind of strike up a friendship, and there's a couple of little episodes there that I think are really funny. You know, there was one episode, I guess they were going to go out to the Badlands, to the area where his truck, you know, got teleported, I guess, by the anomaly, and she's putting him in this harness to carry him, you know, and so because certainly Alita is strong enough to, you know, carry.
Because they couldn't take his wheelchair through the jungle, they had to have somebody carry him, and she's got the strength and the endurance to be able to do that for the 2-hour trek it was going to take to get out there.
Well, anyway, while they were putting him in the harness, he's kind of acting kind of like a prick, you know, about it, I guess. And Alita says,
he's not real happy about the indignity of being carried like that. But that was actually a incident in the clinic when they're trying to get the harness fitted to him.
Yes.
He's getting impatient. It's like, are we done yet? And she's telling him, no, we're just about done. Stop being such a big baby. And he's like, it'd be easier to do if you weren't carrying me like one.
Yeah, and they just kind of look at each other. She looks at him, and that was the beginning of their friendship, I think. And then there was another case. I guess they were riding in the back of the truck, you know. And
no, that was when they were sitting out there. They were just getting ready to leave, and Jason was becoming depressed with this whole thought about if he hadn't made certain decisions, he wouldn't have gotten caught by the anomaly and lost everything.
Yeah,
and she hits him in the side of the head with a half-eaten protein bar, and tells him he had no control over what happened. He needs to stop beating himself up over it.
Yeah, and it's really funny, you know, how they do that. But they really do become friends. But they're not romantic, you know, or anything like that, because, you know, Jason's what about?
No, it is most certainly not a romance story.
Yeah. It's Jason's like in his 50s, isn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, he's like early 50s.
And of course, even though Alita's
romantic interest in her, and she certainly has no romantic interest in him.
Yeah, but she does like him, though. She really respects him for what he did, you know, and, you know, kind of. I guess her first reaction was, why the hell would you do that, you know? And it's like, well, his reaction was something like, well, I can't. I won't say her line, but it was kind of along the lines of, I'm not going to stand by in the presence of evil, or something like that.
Kind of. Basically, he said she was just trying to understand why he would do something like that, because in Iron City, people don't do that for each other. There are there's like one person Alita can think of that might do that, and that's Ito. Well, this other guy suddenly does it out of nowhere for a complete stranger, and she's like, so why would you do that? And he's like, well, I couldn't just stand there and watch somebody be murdered without trying to do something to stop it.
Yeah. And that I think that started Alita really, you know, befriending him and respecting him and stuff like that, because nobody else in Iron City would have done that for sure, you know.
Yeah, I tried to portray Jason as somebody who thinks of others before himself.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, at least. Certainly more than most people in Iron City might.
Yeah.
Which makes him different.
Yeah. And I think with Jason, now you see the picture there on the lower, the image on the lower left corner there below Alita and beside Ito. That's an AI image, and it's probably a lot younger than Jason. Jason's in his 50s. So, but
Jason did have a youthful appearance. He looked about 40 or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in his early 50s.
Yeah. But he was and this is what I like about it, because Lee has kind of put himself in I guess in the story, because he was Air Force.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but he was an Air Force. What was he? He was kind of a mechanic.
He was a mechanic, yes.
Yeah.
He worked on support equipment for aircraft.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
which is one of the things that surprised Alita a little bit when she found out he was a soldier, and then found out, oh, you weren't a combat soldier. He's like, yeah, I was just support. I was a mechanic. I turned a wrench.
Yeah. Well, they probably had those in the ERM too, ERM military, but you know, she probably. I kind
of got the impression she may not actually have considered that sort of thing. You think warrior or soldier, usually the first thing that comes to people's mind, even today, is usually, you know, combat soldier.
Yeah, that's right. Not all soldiers are combat soldiers, though, are they?
Yeah, but all soldiers can end up in combat.
Yeah, that's right.
There was a number of stories I remember from basic training about, like in Vietnam, base or something like that was going to get overrun, and so they were going to destroy it to keep it out of enemy hands. Actually, I think it was Korea or something like that. But you had administrative personnel and even cooks who were trying to set the explosives, and the base gets overrun before they can do that, and the support personnel who weren't combat trained like an infantry lineman are killed by the enemy. So yeah, it's like, even if you're not a combat trooper, you can still end up in combat. That's a constant risk in the military.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I guess, Alita finds out he's a soldier, and of course they talk to each other a lot, and I think Jason begins to like her, and she likes him, and they're just friends. They talk to each other, and he tells her his story, about, well, I was in the United States Air Force, and of course Ito says something like, United States, what is that?
Yeah, he starts throwing out a few terms that people aren't real familiar with.
Yeah. And of course he had his driver's license on him and stuff like that, and they figure, what the hell is this, kind of thing, But anyway, he tells the two of them his story, and I guess Gerhard also, and which he also builds a friendship with Gerhard as well, I think it surprises Ito and Alita that there was such a place called the United States, and why doesn't Zalem know about this? Because Zalem would certainly be interested in a big, powerful government like that, but the government of the United States doesn't exist anymore in the 26th century in this story. So, there you have it, so as most
when he first tells him about it, they think he's insane, which
Yeah.
he was kind of expecting, which is why he was hesitant to tell them about it in the first place.
Yeah, but they do come around eventually. I guess when they go out to the Badlands and where his truck is. And
part of it is Ito is willing to be open to the possibility because there's so much strange crap going on with Jason. He's invisible to the medical sensors. Ito can't get any kind of scan. He can't get an x-ray on him. None of his stuff is working on Jason for completely mysterious reasons, and Ito is just at a complete loss as to what it could be. So he's like, well, something's going on, so I'll keep an open mind.
Yeah. And of course, him being 600 years old, or was it 600 or 500? I can't remember what it was.
It was like 540, but Jason liked to round it up to 600 because it sounded more impressive.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And of course, Alita says, Doubt say, you mean you're 540 or 600 years old? And I guess the thought was, well, you're over 300. What's the big deal? So anyway, but that's the way that the story is completely, except for that one chapter that I've read so far, it was from Jason's point of view. And there was one chapter written from Alita's point of view, because Jason gets himself in trouble again when this one motorball player breaks into the clinic, and he's threatening Gerhard, and he's making a mess of the clinic or whatever, and Jason attacks him, and of course the attack doesn't take him out. So basically this motorballer named Finra, who's also a total replacement cyborg, just beats the crap out of Jason to the point where
nearly beats him to death second time for Jason.
Yeah, he's messed up his spine, he's fractured his skull, he's done all kinds of bad stuff to him. And of course, Alita comes home and finds this out, and she is enraged, and she goes after this motorballer named Finra, and of course she makes very quick work out of him. And that was the end of that, but at that one chapter where she goes after Finra is from her point of view, and that's our girl. That one there was written like manga Alita, which I really liked. That was pretty cool. So but
I tried to make some aspects of her a bit darker than the movie, a bit more like the manga. So it's a bit of a mix between the manga and the movie.
Yeah, but she's she does show her soft side, doesn't she? When she's, you know,
To the people she cares about, yeah.
Yeah, she shows her soft side. She helps Ito around the clinic. She helps Jason. You know, I mean, it's pretty nice. You know, I mean, you would expect that from our girl, I think, you know, that she would be as compassionate as she is, just like she is in the movie. And even she's that way in the manga, too, as well, to people she cares about, you know.
Yeah.
Enemies, they don't stand a chance.
Nope.
So, you know, that's just the way that works. So, okay, anything else there you want to bring up about your story there, Lee?
Well, after chapter, what was it, 22?
Yeah, that's the one I ended up on, I think.
Yeah, after chapter 22, I've been doing a lot of rewriting because I made the mistake of thinking there had to be some sort of conflict between Jason and Alita, with the two, their differing ideologies, you know, causing the butt heads.
Yeah.
And I realized I absolutely did not need to do that. So
Yeah.
I am rewriting certain aspects of the later chapters because I think I screwed the story up pretty badly with that.
Well, I guess I'll hold off on reading chapter 23 then until you get it you got 23's rewritten, right?
I'm still working on it. I've got a it's almost done though. But yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to get all of the rest of them redone and then just put all of them up at once.
Okay, so I'll kind of hang loose on that then until you get those guys finished. But
Okay. So yeah,
yeah,
you pretty much come to the end of the story as it stands.
yeah. So anyway, I really like the friendship between Alita and Jason. You can see the friendship growing as you read through the first 22 chapters, and there's a lot of humor in it, you know, about particularly that one scene you mentioned, Lee, where she throws that half-eaten protein bar and hits him in the head with it. You know, like, stop being such a don't be such a crybaby or something like that. Not crybaby, but
more that
yeah.
he was beating himself up over something he had no control over. And she recognized that and tried to snap him out of it.
Yeah. It worked.
Yeah.
But she really cares for him, you know, just like he was a big brother or something like that. So that's pretty cool, you know, I think. And he's coming around to liking her to the point to where to the point where he actually goes to a motorball match to watch her compete, you know. And the main reason he's going is because Ito has to watch him and he can't leave him there by himself.
Yeah,
so
that was actually the main reason. If Jason had
Yeah.
had the option, he would have stayed home. He hates motorball.
But he starts liking it to at a point, though, doesn't he? Because his friends.
He's
now
willing
compete.
to support her because he
Yeah.
cares about her, and he actually understands why she's doing it. And when he realizes that she's going up there to face down the powers that be, as it were, that are causing all the suffering in Iron City, he feels that that's a worthwhile objective. So he's willing to, you know, support her in that. But Jason sees motorball as
Barbaric.
blood sport.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nova, I got to the point in the story where I'm at where Nova is starting to get involved a little bit. He's somewhat, I guess, vaguely aware of Jason, maybe not.
He's peripherally aware of Jason.
Yeah,
he's
that's
aware
right.
that Alita has found this new stray weakling to, you know, develop certain attachment to, and which baffles him to some degree because he's like, why the hell would she even care about this guy?
Yeah.
And I put him in because, well, he's still going to be screwing with her. So he's coming up with new ways to try to hurt her. And I don't know if you remember it, but Fenrir was the latest attempt.
Yeah.
Fenrir was supposed to destroy the clinic, steal a bunch of stuff, and either hurt or kill Gerhard. Nova had completely discounted Jason just out of hand. I mean, the guy's got no legs. He's stuck in a wheelchair. He's got no combat capability. What the hell is he going to do? And, well, surprise, surprise, he
did something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did injure Fenrir, didn't he? But I mean,
yeah, he blew a hole through his shoulder,
Yeah.
which disabled him pretty badly with that heat round.
Yeah.
And that helped Gerhard do some more damage to him, which ran him off. but Jason was lying on the floor, bleeding out with half his face ripped off and slowly dying.
And of course, once again, that enraged Alita. She just, oh man, she, I could see her with a fire shooting up her ass. So I'm going to go get this guy. He's done. He is so done.
He attacked her home, hurt 2 people she really cared about.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fenrir signed his death warrant at that point.
Yeah, he did. And she made very, very short work of him.
Yeah, he lasted of like less than 3 seconds in the fight.
Yeah, that's right. He thought he was going to take her, but nope. I guess kind of like Growishka thought he was going to take her. Nope.
Well, Fenrir had no idea what the capabilities of her berserker body were, so he was completely caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
For the short period of time he lived.
Yeah, she punched through his chest, didn't she? And ignited that plasma weapon, and that just kind of incinerated.
Well, she ignited the plasma weapon and then flattened her hand into a blade and just speared him through the chest. And vaporized part of his life support system in his cyber core.
Yeah. And of course, that was that, as they would say.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
then she took his head, turned him in for the small bounty that she could get for him.
Yeah.
And recovered what was left of what Fenrir didn't trade away or take as far as the drugs that he stole.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't mess with our girl. You just don't do it.
Or her family.
Yeah, don't mess with the folks she loves. Don't do that. That's a big problem if you do. You better be there's no place you're going to hide from her because she's going to outrun you. So you can't outrun her. You can't outfight her.
Well, she does have to hunt you down first. And it took her a few days to hunt down Fenrir. But she did hunt him down eventually.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if you remember that one part, though. She got a call from one of Fenrir's former teammates who helped her figure out where to find him.
Yeah.
Because this individual, his wife was dying at one point, and Ito was the only person who had been willing to give her the life-saving implants she needed, because at the time they were too poor to afford anything else. But Ito saved the life of his wife, so he felt he owed Ito something.
Yeah, because Alita wondered, why are you helping me?
Yeah. He's like, well, I owe your old man, so that's why I'm helping him.
Yeah. So that was that. That ended that one. So, okay. Anything else you want to say there about that, Lee?
I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, into the Badlands. This is a really short story that I wrote. It's I think the whole video is 11 minutes, maybe something like that. And of course, this was my first attempt at writing a fanfic. And of course, it was augmented in difficulty by me putting it into a video. So, it's got some issues in it. I know I got too much narration in it. So I may redo this and take the narration out. I might
trim it down a little bit. Don't have to necessarily remove it entirely.
Yeah, you get just some of the areas where it's redundant. You don't need to have that much narration. But anyway, the way this story is that this is some time after Alita has gone through the yellow door. She's a tuned agent, so she's this is post motorball.
Yeah, I think this is like the 10-year period where they don't cover in the manga.
So it's
that's
like right.
Event that happens in there.
Which Maxie was quick to point out to me that Lou that you see in the lower left there below that is she's pinch hitting for Bigot Eisenberg because he's off doing something else, and I haven't decided yet because I'm going to do a part 2 eventually, but probably off starting to work on the design for the Alita replicants, maybe, something like that anyway. And he says, okay, Lou, I'm going to be gone for some period of time. I want you to be Alita's controller, and and help her hunt down Nova is what she's doing. So basically what she does is she's in the Badlands, she's hunting for Nova, and basically Nova has hired these mercenaries. Now, I haven't decided yet what these mercenaries were supposed to be doing, because I didn't put much of a backstory in it. And of course, there isn't much of a backstory in the 10-year period that Alita's out in the Badlands.
Yeah.
And
on the upside, that means you're wide open for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right, which is why I picked that time period, And of course, Alita goes, she meets some people along the way, and she's tracking these mercenaries. And she comes up on this small Colorado town called Calumet. Now, in case some of you don't know what Calumet is, there is no such town called Calumet, Colorado. But if you saw Red Dawn from the 80s, then you would know that there is a Calumet, Colorado in that story. And I picked that name just for that reason, So anyway, so I guess Red Dawn is part of the Alitaverse now, maybe. So
yeah,
maybe not. But anyway, she goes into this city looking for Nova, or it's a small town. It's not a city. And, she's been walking for days. And of course, the cyborg, is they got a lot of endurance. They can go a long time, without getting tired. She still has to sleep, but basically, she's going through the desert, going through the Badlands. She comes on this small town, and she's looking for some water, and so she goes into this bar, and goes up to the bartender and asks for a glass of water, and the bartender gives her a glass of water, and he says, "Hey, honey, this is on the house," or something like that. And that these guys are in there, these mercenaries are in this town, because it's basically the only town for miles around. She's way away from Iron City at this point. As a matter of fact, being in Colorado, that's pretty far from South America. So anyway.
Well, I think yours is based more on the manga, and that's
yes.
And if it's that,
yes.
if that's the case, then it would be Kansas would be where the scrapyard is at.
Yeah, that's right.
Which isn't quite as far from Kansas as it would be from.
Yeah, Colorado is pretty different from Kansas, but it's not that far. Yeah, it's probably about 300 or 400 miles from maybe from the center of Kansas to the somewhat eastern part of Colorado or whatever. So, but anyway, she's found these mercenaries, and of course these mercenaries, they, just like a lot of people do when they meet Alita, they underestimate her, and this one mercenary, I guess the leader of the group, there's 4 of them. And, he decides that he's going to have his way with her because she looks just like a little girl, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to get me some, and goes after her. And, the 4 of them kind of go after her. And, basically, when it all is all said and done, they all had their guns pointed at her and everything, and she killed all 4 of them before any of them could pull a trigger. So, it was just it was very fast. She killed them all within 3 seconds. All 4 of them. She cut 3 of their heads off and twisted the other one. So, it was kind of brutal, and I kind of painted it that way because I wanted it to be more like the manga.
Yeah.
And of course, she's kind of, at this point, she's kind of, I wouldn't say apologetic, but she's kind of, conscious of what she did, because she did it in this public place and stuff like that.
I think it was more sorry about the mess kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. And the bartender, she says, I'm really sorry about this. And he said, oh, it's okay. These guys have been here for a month, and they have been doing nothing but bullying people and, and doing stuff like that. And I'm happy you put them out of their misery, basically, So anyway, he's so grateful that she got rid of them that he says, do you need a place to stay for the night? And she said, oh, no, you don't need to do that. I I could camp out or something like that. And he says, no, I insist. And he gives her a room upstairs, and she goes upstairs and sleeps, and then comes back down. I also have a couple of dream sequences in it too, of her and Hugo, which kind of just shows you that she's still dealing with the loss of Hugo, because she hasn't met figure 4 yet, or at least in my story, she hasn't. She meets figure 4 pretty early in the, after the yellow door. So the time frame might be somewhat inconsistent, but that's all right. In my story, she hasn't met figure 4 yet. So, but anyway, she comes back down the next morning, and the bartender cooks her breakfast and stuff like that. And the guy you see on the lower right there, he's an American Indian. Guess who that is? So anyway, I kind of inserted myself in that one, kind of like, Lee did in his story. And he's basically a bounty hunter, himself, but he's a meat boy. He's not a cyborg, and, she talks to him, and he's he doesn't say much, he's kind of a quiet guy. He's, basically doesn't, he just doesn't interact with people very much, and she talks to him a little bit, and gets to know him. His name's Demon Seeker is his name, which is kind of a takeoff on my Indian name, which is Wisdom Seeker, and but after she talks to him, they kind of, Lou is talking to Alita through her communication system, and Lou finds out that the 4 guys that she's killed were the mercenaries, and now she's killed the 4 guys she was trailing, trying to find Nova, and she's killed all 4 of them, and now she has no leads, So anyway, that's where the story kind of leads, kind of tails off after that, although the bartender does say the 4 guys were talking about meeting somebody there. So kind of leaves it open to whether maybe it's Nova that's going to meet them or something like that. And she, kind of, the story ends with her, kind of, going out the door, to kind of, do a scout around the land to get kind of the lay of the land, so she can be prepared if it is Nova and he shows up, So anyway, that's basically the story. It was really short compared to Maxie's and Lee's, but
short stories are good stories too.
Yeah, and of course, her and Lou have a kind of a neat little relationship going there, where Lou is always trying to get to know Alita more intimately, and not necessarily, from a sexual standpoint, but just trying to get to know her better is like
always digging for details.
Yeah, that's right. That's what she's doing, and of course, Lou wants Alita to strike up some kind of relationship with the bartender, and Alita says, no, we're not doing this, and of course, the bartender is so good to her that she kind of does like him. And as she's walking out the door, Lou says, I knew you liked that bartender. And Alita says, Lou, stop it, and then goes out the door. So that's pretty much the end of part 1 of the Alita Into the Badlands. So anyway, that's it. That's about the whole story. So, okay. All right. Well, let's talk about any future stories, and the folks in the chat, if you want to put down, put something in the chat of a kind of a storyline you would like to see in a fanfic, or if it's a storyline you're thinking about, maybe we can talk about it, give you some ideas or something like that. If you want to write, a fanfic of your own, if you've written a fanfic and you want to tell us a little bit about it, do so, and maybe we can put a link in the chat, and you can, maybe get people to read your fanfic, or, watch it, or whatever you do. But anyway, I got a couple of ideas up there. We could have more of a kind of like my story, which is kind of an adaptation of the manga. Even Lee's is a little bit of an adaptation of the manga myself. It's kind of like Lee said, it's kind of a combination of the movie and the manga, but I think it's kind of an adaptation. Certainly Alita's in cyberpunk, so you got a whole, a whole spectrum of things you can put in that. What about crossover with other IPs? Maybe you could make Alita a superhero. Maybe
I was
she's
just thinking the post-apocalyptic wasteland of the Badlands in the manga. Crossover with Mad Max.
Oh, that would be nice.
A berserker cyborg and running loose in the Mad Max world.
Yeah, Mad Max occurs around what, 30 or
no. Mad Max, the first one, even though the filmers are, because I actually got the Blu-ray collection for Mad Max, like all four. Yes. So eventually we could do like a live stream for the Mad Max.
You mean the Mel Gibson version?
All four, both.
All four.
Because it has
Tom Hardy
collection too. So the first one was released in theaters in 1979, but it's actually meant to happen in Australia in 1985.
Yes.
Because there's a couple of clues. One is that the police station that Max goes to says founded 1984 for the highway patrol that he's working with, so it can't be 1979. The second film is the early 1990s, and the third one is in 2005.
Okay.
Fury Road is close to the time of Thunderdome.
Okay.
But the whole idea is that Australia and that part of the world would be affected when the world got a crisis. Because Miller, when he was talking about the making of Mad Max, he said, what if the world became the way it was in 1973 and 1979, where there was a massive oil embargo, and then eventually it went to nuclear weapons, and there's very little tech left in Australia after that.
Well, we'd have to have Lee's. We'd have to get Lee's time anomaly tornado or whatever that damn thing was.
Maybe we could ask Max. Maybe we could ask Max Tech-Jirai if he's ever been to any of the highways they feature in the films.
Yeah,
they used actual highways in the film in the making of the movies.
Yeah, but getting Alita from the Americas over to Australia in 500 years in the past, you'd have to have Lee's time anomaly tornado take her over there, I guess.
Maybe
something like that. Yeah,
some kind of temporal displacement.
But the cool thing is that there's there's sort of elements of it in the manga, like the parts, the Badlands part where you see like how the way Chaos and the Volmen are is kind of similar to how the Barter Town is in Mad Max 3.
Yeah,
Dome.
Yeah, it is. It is very similar. Yeah. So a Mad Max crossover, that'd be perfect because it is sort of like the Badlands, like you say. That'd be good. Yeah. I also like the fact now, I've done some superhero streams, a few years ago. I haven't done one for a while, but if you could, now this is going to involve time travel again, but if you could get her back to this century, and she runs into the Justice League. Now, I don't know if the Justice League would want her in as a permanent member because she is, she can be a loose cannon, at times. I mean, she loves her family and she, she'll protect them. And she's really, for the most part, when she's not after an enemy or something like that, she's really sweet, But oh my God, if you piss her off, you're up against it, with her, So, and she is kind of a loose cannon, and she has no problem killing people if they're, if they're after, particularly if they're after someone she cares about. She has no problem taking them out. I mean, it's just not even, she doesn't even give it a second thought. Whereas the people in the Justice League, those metahumans,
it depends.
They do have.
It depends. So Aquaman does kill people in the comics.
Yeah, he does. Well, in the comics, I guess Superman doesn't, but in the movie,
Superman has too. It's just that it's just not very likely to do it to a regular crook. If you have some superpowered godlike alien from space, Superman's gonna kill that one.
But Superman has a kind of a, I won't call it a morality because I think
he doesn't. No, he doesn't. It's Batman who had made the promise, and that was in the 1980s continuity that he would try not to kill somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
Made that promise. Superman did not.
Yeah, Superman did not. But Superman though, does have a kind of a moral compass.
He's not
it wouldn't necessarily prevent him from killing somebody, but it is something that I guess is kind of embedded in him at a subconscious level. Whereas Alita, if it's somebody if you go after her friends and family, she will kill you in a heartbeat. I mean, she will make no compunction about it, and it won't bother her a bit. You know,
the thing with Superman, though, is you have to be a kind of threat to him or to other people that would justify him doing that.
Yes.
I mean, Brainiac, that's not a regular criminal.
No, Brainiac's not
a regular criminal.
Yeah, neither is Steppenwolf or any of them. Yeah, for sure. You know, in that regard, she's a little bit more like Batman, but like you say, Batman made that promise, you know, so, but in that way, she's kind of like him. But anyway, and of course, there's science fiction. You know, I mean, a good part of the manga is kind of science fiction, isn't it? I mean, particularly when she's traveling on spacecraft and stuff like that.
And that's the presentation I gave to you about futurism and retrofuturism. It should be pretty interesting if we had to talk about that.
Okay, well, we can, yeah.
I'll put it on the list, on the list, because I sent you the presentation. I just have to do the list part.
Okay. But anyway, I saw a channel tried to come in, then she dropped off. I wonder if she had some kind of system problem or whatever. But yeah, I think Alita, since Alita is a total replacement cyborg, I think she would fit very well in science fiction. You know, I think she definitely would. You know, and fantasy would be another story. I'm not sure about that one. I mean, she probably
in Alita like we're going to talk about eventually, Battle Angel Alita, the manga and the film, have examples of what you call retrofuturism, where you're projecting a past era into a science fiction world. Like Star Wars is retrofuturism.
Yes.
So it's mostly retrofuturism. For futurism, it would be similar to the way the Blade Runner movies are made. The Blade Runner movies largely project the way they see out the world either in 1982 or 2017, and they project it into that futuristic world.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, I think Alita would fit in Star Wars. There'd be some serious time travel there, because that's in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago.
Star Wars is retrofuturism because projecting past eras into the world that they made. Star Wars is essentially Western. It's a Western space, pretty much.
Yeah, but I think Alita would fit in that very well because she's in a futuristic environment where she is, but when you see the Badlands and stuff like that, I mean, that's kind of almost like Tatooine, isn't it? To a degree. Yeah, certainly. You know, what's this Vladi saying right here? Okay. He's just checking us out for now.
I was just thinking too, another possible storyline for a fan fiction would be a glimpse into biological Alita's life with Figure 4 after the events of Last Order.
Oh, a drama.
Or action, depending on how they write it.
Yeah, that's right. You could have she would be she'd be a human girl. She'd be a meat girl and he would be a meat boy, but she would probably retain all the memories and all of the instincts.
No, I think she would definitely retain all of her combat capabilities or combat skills. Her combat capabilities would be different with a flesh and blood body. I have a feeling she would have to get used to the idea that her body isn't as durable as it used to be.
Yeah.
So that could be part of the story, is how she's adapting to having a flesh and blood body. And for extra complexity, maybe even the two of them have had a child or two.
Yes. Yeah, that would work. The Creek
would make for an interesting story.
Yeah, the Creek would approve of her having a kid with Figure 4. His niece having a kid with Figure 4, that's no problem.
It seems to me having at least one child would be kind of inevitable between those two.
Yeah, I think so, But and you could have a kind of combination of a drama and a action story, because you're right, she would retain all of her combat skills, just not the capability. In other words, she wouldn't have the plasma weapon, would she?
No.
And of course, if
or her strength, durability, speed, but she would also have her skill with weapons, so she'd still be proficient with any number of weapons.
And she would still know martial arts. So I mean, even though she wouldn't be able to do
like I said, she would have her combat skills. It's just her capability with those skills wouldn't be what it was.
Yeah, she couldn't do,
because the body's not as durable or as fast as the cyborg body was.
Yeah, because with Panzer Kunst, a lot of those techniques, like when she took off Gerwishka's arm, she wouldn't be able to do that with her meat body. So, you know, another thing I thought about too, as part of the drama, if you were going to do a series, maybe season 1, then season 2, and at the end of season 2, she meets Imaginos Alita. She meets her, I guess you would say, twin, if you want to call it like that, because she is kind of a clone, isn't she? Human Alita is a clone of the other Alita. So have those two meet, that would be interesting, I think, and then what does that do to her relationship with Figure 4? I mean, if I think if Figure 4 and her had a couple of kids, it would be difficult for Alita to split from I think the Alita in the Imaginos body would probably not want to break up a family. That'd be my prediction anyway.
I could see it, eventually ultimately being acceptance that's, that's different people, if it goes to that. I'm wondering, speaking of Mad Max, I'm thinking that, maybe Alita will be that character who heroic, but she kind of just goes off somewhere at the end.
Bad Man, I don't think Imaginos Alita herself is a clone. She's an android, but her DNA,
they're both clones. Both of the Alitas that we have now are clones. They're not.
Well, Imaginos Alita is a clone, is something that you copy DNA and stuff like this.
Right.
Imaginos
is not. AR-13 is not Imaginos, and Alita.
The Toon body wouldn't be, exactly, because she's still got a human brain in the Toon body, or does she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, okay. So I can't remember when she got the chip.
Clones.
Yeah, the chip came with the Imaginos body.
Yeah, that's because Nova blew her up with a baby bomb, and then that was that, But
no, I'm sure where they swapped it, but even then, they were both copies of the original. They're not quite the original one. It's like
the human Alita was actually bioprinted, from the DNA, or what was. I don't know how they accomplished this, but I guess Imaginos Alita had I don't know if she had a copy of her DNA or something. I'm not sure how that happened.
Well, they had the organic brain, so you got the DNA right there.
Yeah, that's right. So they, human Alita is now wait a minute. There's two human Alitas. There's that one in the side story. Was that Tree of Life thing or whatever? I can't remember that thing. But
that's an alternate ending.
That's
an completely separate thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's not canon even,
Yeah,
but the human Alita
Shiro wrote that because he had some health problems. He wasn't sure he would have the time to finish the story the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, well, the human Alita in the end of Last Order is a copy. She's a bioprinted human, so she's not. So in a very real way, she's a clone, actually, or sort of a clone, I guess. Whereas Imaginos Alita is an android. So it's kind of complicated, I guess. I see where you're coming. Oh, there's Channel. Hey, Channel.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome aboard. We were just talking about human Alita and Imaginos Alita. Bad Man says that they're kind of, both, that Imaginos Alita was a clone and human Alita is original. I don't see a human Alita being the original. I think she was bioprinted, so she was kind of a clone herself. But Imaginos Alita is an android. Yeah.
Yeah, but the brain is closer to the human Alita is closer to the original because the brain is closer to being the original.
Yes.
Even though it's the brain reconstructed by Nova. So it's not really original. It's like closer to original.
Yeah, exactly. It's quasi-original or whatever.
Yeah, I would say the organic brain Alita has a brain that is a cloned brain of the original Alita.
Yeah.
I mean,
so the human Alita is a clone, and the Imaginos Alita is a copy of the clone.
Although the brain Alita does have some brain matter from the original, because Nova said he could reconstruct it. He was bragging that he managed to fully reconstruct the brain, only having I don't remember if it's 60% of the brain missing or 60% of the brain he did have, and that's matter. So there was like half the brain matter was original. So it's not all cloned. So there is that's why people call it the original Alita.
Well, that's why I called her a quasi clone, you know, because she's not a complete clone, obviously, but yeah, and you're right. Imaginos Alita is more of was constructed, you know, after she got blown up by the baby bomb when she was in her toon body. So, you know, that's the way that works. But anyway, yeah, and you're right, Bad Man. Nova reconstructed this, so yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So, but anyway, as what I was saying about the drama part of it, it would be kind of interesting to see the Alita that, you know, left at the end of the last order to go to Venus. If she comes back to Earth somehow, you know, this would have to be like in Mars Chronicles version 10 or 11 or whatever, but come back and meet human Alita, and human Alita's already made a life with Figure 4. They got 2 kids, you know, they maybe got a little farm somewhere, who knows, you know, and you know, maybe Figure 4 is still fishing and Alita's taking care of the farm or whatever they're doing. And here's this other Alita shows up and meets the human Alita, and that would be kind of an interesting to see how that played out. You know?
I think it would have to be somehow finagled by accident, because I think Imaginos Alita intentionally decided to stay away from Earth at that point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be interesting if they revealed certain plot elements, like who is the actual narrator of this story. Like, is one of the characters like secretly, you know, lives on after everyone else, and he or she is writing it all? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just a third person narrator, because at one point it said that this story is not part of Master's telling a story, and the narrator says this story is not. Wait, which series are we talking about right now?
At the end of the original series, it was Koyomi that was the narrator, but I don't know.
And at the ending of Last Order, it was Ida who was the narrator.
Yes.
But it's just the ending segment. The overall is just a third person, either a character specifically speaking or just an unspecified third person narrator.
But to Lee's point, for Imaginos Alita to meet human Alita if she comes back, you know, because she purposely wanted to stay away from Earth, but something happens where she has to come back to Earth for some reason, so you could figure it out, you know, and she meets human Alita in Figure 4. It would be interesting to see how that little scenario
could
played
lead to
out.
some interesting developments.
I'd say good fanfic material, but it won't happen, and I don't want it to happen in the main series, because they specifically put aside human Alita, like maybe a little side information of, oh, she's doing fine, like a picture of her, but not bringing her in for a full arc, because that's the retired version of Alita. That's your original Alita. Now we have a different one, so we've already had a thing with multiple Alitas. We're probably not doing it again.
Yeah, that's true, I guess, but it would
Unless
still be.
Studioo decides he really wants to fuck with his readers.
Yeah, that's right.
He seems to like doing that.
He likes doing that.
There's generally speaking, there's, you know, you set up something that can be used later in the plot.
That's an interesting thought, that Imaginos or Brain Chip Alita, as you go, Android Alita, comes back because she wants to tell human Alita some important information, you know, could be, you know, maybe it's critical to her survival, her and Figure 4's survival, even, you know, I mean, it could be something like that, you know.
But she kind of told Chaos to worry about Marge, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What information would she have that's specifically needed for that clone of her? Because she's not gonna. I mean, you could come up with something if you want to write the fanfic, but just the series had set up so many things, as in the manga has already set up so many things that so far Chronicle did not follow through because it keeps getting distracted with the backstory of a character that appears that could have just appeared in for 2 frames, but now we need the story of the life of their great aunt.
In last order, Chaos knows about Marge. Alita said, let him know about Marge with the note, and he's with Marge at the end. So he's got.
Well, here's the thing too, though, that Chaos knows. I mean, not Chaos. I'm sorry, Nova. Nova knows about human Alita, and of course, he might, like Lee says, you know, if Kishiro wants to screw around with his readers, he could have a thing where, you know, Imaginos or Android Alita comes back and says, hey, you know, Nova's after you because he knows you, you know, he knows that you're living a wonderful life or whatever, you know, and, you know, I got this information that you guys need to get scarce or whatever you need to do, move or whatever, you know. She could do something, he could do something like that, you know. Now, that's not a fanfic, obviously. If Kishiro does it, that's going to be part of the canon, I guess. But you know, one thing though, to go away from fanfics, they could do a series on human Alita. They could do it, not make it part of the actual, you know, timeline that the other Alita's on, you know, the one that goes through Mars Chronicles and the one that goes through Last Order and all that. But they could do like a little side series, you know, of human Alita and
another story, maybe.
Yeah, they could do something like that. I think I would watch it, you know. Of course, I'll watch anything with Alita in it, so it doesn't matter. So, so, you know, so they could make it a combination of drama, science fiction, and you name it. You know, they could put all kinds of elements in it. But, you know, I think a fanfic of human Alita would be pretty good. You know, I mean,
fanfic, part of the reason why fanfics exist is to explore the space that it wouldn't really make sense for canon to allocate screen time, or in this case, the author's attention to.
Yes,
because let's be clear, honest. If he starts making a human Alita side story, Mars Order is never going to get finished.
Well, not if she's not the main Alita. If she's not the main Alita, that could just be a side story. You know, I mean, somebody else can do that. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be Kishiro. I mean, you know, it could be like the Mandalorian was, you know, in Star Wars or something like that in terms of it being a side story. You know, although he's a regular on the Mandalorian's actually a, you know, I guess Boba Fett's a guy that, you know, was in the original Star Wars. But what I'm saying is they could do a series of human Alita in Figure 4 without interfering with the storyline of, you know, Alita Battle Angel, Fallen Angel, and Avenging Angel. They could do that because those are 2 different Alitas, you know. So
could be
anyway,
good for a side story.
I'd watch it, you know. So, and to your point, Channel, I think another reason why fanfics exist is because a lot of us in the Alita Army, we're waiting for those sequels, and Disney's not giving them to us, so we got to do something, you know.
Part of the reason fanfics in general exist is because people just have things that they really wish would happen in a series, but no, they can't. For example, for either censorship reasons or logic reasons, or because it just doesn't fit with the overall theme, or because they know the author doesn't like that take or subject, even though it's popular with canon, or it's very with fans, or it's very dear to that specific person. So if they want to see it, but they know they won't ever see it in canon, they put it in fanfics. So it's either like head canons that they have, or this event should have worked differently, or oh my gosh, can we just ship these 2 characters? Alita fandom is not big on shipping, so that one doesn't happen a lot. When you look through the ship tags in for Alita, I'm pretty sure the biggest ship is Alita / Reader, which hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Why is Alita / Reader?
Well, I know I like reading fanfics because there's one out there that, Lee, you were telling me about at one point, but there's one out there I haven't read yet. But one reason I do watch or read fanfics is because, I want to see more Alita content. I want to read it. I want to see it, in a video or something like that. And we're not getting it right now. I mean, that we don't have any sequels. I guess you could say Alita, Fallen Angel, and Avenging Angel are in development because James Cameron said he was going to move to Austin, Texas and make it happen, but we don't have any movies. So, what are we going to watch? I mean, certainly I'm going to watch Alita Battle Angel many more times, but, it'd be kind of nice to see Alita in other situations, wouldn't it? And of course you can reread the manga and all that, but, it's just kind of gives you some diversity of Alita, and you get to see Alita in more stuff. So anyway,
fanfics are a normal thing in most fandoms. I mean, as long as there's really no reason to justify why you're reading fanfic like you're justifying taking some drug. Like the only situation is which fanfic are automatically weird in a fandom is if it's with a fandom of a real person and you're writing fake scenarios of that real person. That's the only occasion where it's the fandom automatically makes it weird to write fic for it. But generally, fanfics are as normal as fan art, just in a different form.
I think I can agree with that. I think so. By the way, the Bad Man says that Alita learned about Yoko while in space. I don't know, Bad Man. I think when Chaos, when he was kind of being frisky with Alita, when she was on the gurney or whatever and unconscious, and he's kind of touching her and she slugs the shit out of him and he calls her Yoko. And I think that's the first time she heard her name, Yoko. Now, I don't think she learned that much about it, but that's when I think
she recognized it.
Yes, she recognized it.
She hated that someone knew it. Yes.
So anyway, but okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if they do, now we're kind of off the track on fanfics, but that's all right. I think if they do series and sequels and stuff like that, particularly if they want to involve a younger audience, they're going to have to stay away from some of the stuff in the manga because it's too dark, and it's got too much stuff that would make it R-rated, that would, I think that's going to that would kind of kill its appeal. I don't mean appeal that it wouldn't be good, but it would kind of limit the audience that could watch it, I think. So I don't know. I think you might be right about that. Particularly Alita's actual origin in the manga. I think they're going to have to change that if they're going to address that in, say, a series, a Mars Chronicle series or something like that. If they
I do think you could pull it off. You'd have to tone down the body horror a bit, but you could pull it off as long as you say it's magic.
Magic, maybe, or you just go with the storyline or the origin story that you saw in that video that was on the extras, about the...
I mean, it's functional, but just keep one from last order.
I agree. It's not Alita, it's not Yoko, but they have to do what they got to do, So.
I'm not sure why they included that. It's not necessary to understand her in the movie. It's not even part of the movie. It's just, why do we need an information that adds nothing from the perspective of someone who hasn't read the manga and kind of just confuses people who have read it, as in, okay, so we're getting rid of the backstory, but we're not replacing it with a different
backstory.
We're not replacing with a different backstory that's relevant to something. We're just kind of changing it to the default.
Yeah, this is right, Bad Man. I had forgotten about that. When she was fighting Joshigan, she had a flashback. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Alita was having flashbacks, just more rarely, and she started having them later on than movie Alita.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of different possibilities there for a fanfic. If anybody wants, Bad Man, you seem to know a lot about this stuff. Maybe you should write a fanfic. You could probably put together a pretty good one. I'd read it. So, maybe you ought to do that, Bad Man. I don't know how good a writer you are, but you could probably put something together pretty good. You know a lot about Alita, at least.
I once made a list of fanfics I want to see in this fandom, but that I do not have the skill to write it. I can pull this list up. It's on Tumblr.
Yeah, if you've got the list on your computer, you can, if you want to share it, we can look at
Not
that.
on my computer, but it is on Tumblr. Okay, found it. Ideas
Okay.
for fanfics this fandom needs.
Okay.
Aga embodies rise to power.
Okay.
So like a backstory fanfic. A happy ending for Luke's Alita.
Okay.
So the obligatory I ship it, but the canon refuses to.
Okay.
The future timeline for Mars Chronicles, because at this rate we're going, it doesn't look like the canon material is getting back to anytime soon.
Plus
so
it's slow.
So basically, the hiatus, I'm sick of hiatus. Let's write the continuation type of fanfic. What happened between Last Order and Mars Chronicle?
Yes.
That could be an interesting one for world building.
Yes.
AU stories, including what if one specific event happened differently. I mean, self-explanatory. Pingwoo's backstory. This one, I like to see.
I like the one you said about changing an event in Alita's timeline, and what does that impact everything after that event? In other words, you got a different timeline now. So what would, yeah.
Koyomi writing her books like she did in the non-canon ending and chasing down different characters to conduct interviews.
Okay.
Like, for example, one chapter of the fanfic is one interview with a different character from Koyomi's perspective.
Ah.
That could be cool if someone had the patience and the understanding of multiple characters.
Yeah.
And this, a slice of life for the Stellar Nursery Society.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of cute. And Gelda being...
Yeah, go ahead.
And Gelda being a mentor mother figure to Erika and Yoko.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work. I like that slice of life thing you said. That's kind of what we were talking a little bit about in the drama on that last bullet right there, particularly if her and Figure 4, you know, settled down and had 2 kids and all that, but they still get into these adventures that they, you know, that they would have, you know, as a team, you know, or something like that. It could be even action, you know. All right, cool. By the way, did I get the time right in terms of
no
Central? Oh, I'm sorry.
I saw that it says 11 and then you wrote 12, so I'm thinking, okay, 12, so I'm showing up at 12, and apparently that's an hour late. So the first time you sent me was correct.
Oh, damn it.
And okay, the corrected one is an hour late.
Yeah, Maxie teases me about daylight saving time all the time because every year this bites me, every single year.
Yeah, they haven't changed it yet. Pretty much all of... Funny thing is, pretty much all of Europe, the European Union voted that we should not have daylight savings time. We should just get rid of it. Except countries can't agree which version of the time zone should they be stuck on. The summer one or the winter one. And if they were divided by south and north, the factions, that would be kind of easy. You just make weirdly shaped time zones for the south separately, for the north separately. Or if they were east-west, same thing. You just kind of change the shape of the time zones. They're like a random checkerboard pattern of who wants to stay in which time zone. So you can't really accommodate for that.
Well, that's kind of like there in Australia, you know, where you got, you know, Queensland is on standard time the entire year, and New South Wales, they go on daylight savings time and stuff like that. We have the same situation here with Arizona. Arizona never goes on daylight savings time. They just stay with standard time. So if you go like from Colorado to Arizona, you're changing, you know, the time is not going to be like you going to from mountain to Pacific, you know, you're going back to another standard time zone. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, channel it's 12:30 there, right where you are now, right?
It's 28 minutes past midnight.
Oh, okay.
We most of Europe uses the 24-hour clock. So when someone gives me the time and like PM, AM, I have to quickly do the math.
Ah. So but it's like here, it's like half past the hour, like it's nearly 5:30 here, And you're
Yeah,
there, it's 20 minutes after, right? So
yeah,
isn't
no,
it-
I said 28. Now it's 29,
Oh,
so it's half an hour.
okay.
I just
So it is
so it's
okay.
half an hour past midnight.
Okay, all right. So I'll go back and change my times to make sure I get them right, you know. So, and I assume that Greenwich Mean Time then is going to be, I'm wrong about that one as well. So I guess, because Greenwich Mean Time is 1 hour behind you, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
think it
the
is.
universal, the universal one.
Yeah.
I think it is. Wait, I suppose in the meantime, it's 1 hour beat.
Should be 11:30.
Yeah, Poland is in the add 1 hour to the universal one time zone.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to go back and change my little time table, you know, type thing, because I messed up on that. And I mess up every year. Every single year I mess this up. So, and Maxie always gives me a ration about it. He always does. And
yeah,
that's okay.
Central European time zone.
Yeah.
Why is the Western European time zone so stupidly shaped? Just what?
Yeah, that's right. It's universal time is 1 hour. I don't know, Smendrick, what? I don't know, Smendrick in Germany. Wie spät ist es? Is it 12:30 there, Smendrick? I don't know, you know. Should be 12:30 in Germany, I think, or Deutschland should be. Okay, well, anyway, I'll get it right one of these days, I guess. Maybe I will. Might. So maybe I should not mess with Greenwich Mean Time. I just stick with the universal time, which is mostly Greenwich Mean Time, I guess. I don't know. Hell with it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Zulu. Yeah, Zulu's kind of an older term, I guess. But yeah, you're right that they are pretty much the same, bad man. Yep. Okay, guys, any other fanfic things you can think of? We kind of got off track there. One I did mention that I would like to see is it involved time travel, but I would like to see Alita in kind of a superhero-esque, you know, kind of a movie, you know, where she maybe time travels to the 21st century. You know, she's discovered by the Avengers, or she's discovered by the
I'm pretty sure that
Justice
one
League.
with Alita with the Avengers, or it already exists. I saw it somewhere on fanfiction.com.
Oh, really? I'll have to go check that out. Is it fanfiction?
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Lee.
I was going to say, one that kind of came to me is an alternate timeline where Alita's berserker body doesn't get sold off by Ed.
And she keeps it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, she didn't want to wear it. She didn't want to wear it. She didn't want to be in the berserker body because of her losing Hugo in it.
But after the Motorball games was over and she finally came to terms with, you know, the stuff she was dealing with, she was going to go back to it, and then she found out that Ed had sold it off.
Yeah.
I posted the fic in private chat. I haven't read the whole thing. I skimmed through it. It's 64 chapters long. And
Whoa.
it's Alita as an Avenger. The chapters aren't that long, but it kind of just keeps jumping between time zones, and so that's kind of confusing. But yeah, if you want to read Alita with the meeting the Avengers, here you go.
Holy moly, a marvelous angel. I love that.
Oh, there was one by Maxie that he did that was going to be a crossover between Dragon Prince and Alita.
Well, here's one that could happen is that, you know, Halo is basically the same time period as Alita. It's in the 26th century, or at least part of that time, you know, part of that timeline is
hundreds of years in the future, at least.
Yeah. So, but I think when I wish Den was here, he would be able to tell me. But I think there is one part of that where I guess Master Chief is in that it may be like 10 or 20 years before Alita, perhaps. You know, that anyway, that's kind of what, Yeah, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going to write that down because I want to see that. Marvelous Angel. I got to go check that out. Yeah. Alita, an Avenger. It'd be interesting too to see her meet Cyborg. You know, that would
he's
be
DC though.
He's DC.
But yeah, that's another crossover that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, they could do a crossover where she beats the Justice League, and she certainly would have a lot more in common with Cyborg than she would with the others. You know. Yeah, that's right, Bad Man. It is close. I can't remember the exact timeline either, but I know it's close. I want to say 10 to 15 years or so, you know, somewhere in that area. At least part of it is. So I know Master Chief is in part of that. So, and he's a cyborg himself, I think. So
yeah, all of the Spartans have been augmented in some fashion.
Yeah.
Although cybernetics were only a small part of the augmentations.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a lot of other more organic stuff, didn't they, to those guys? So
yeah, it's like I think some biological and nanotech type stuff that wasn't strictly, cybernetics necessarily.
Well, look who's here. I just look good, hey, mate. How's things down there near
I got a feeling somebody was talking about me, so I had to show up.
Ears were burning.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about your fanfic crossover.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's what it was. So.
Well, let's
the one that I started and then sort of didn't go any
talked
further.
about that. We were really hoping we were going to get to see the, there it is, right there. We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But then also mentioned the other one that only had the one chapter made.
Oh yeah, that was. I heard you say it was a double crossover. It was actually a triple crossover.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I remember there was another crossover as well, but I couldn't remember what the third one was.
It was Alita,
Dragon Prince,
Stranger Things, and Dragon Prince.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
It actually started from a discussion. A bunch of people from one of the Alita Battle Angel Discords. We got together in a PM chat. It was a guy from Britain and another guy from which country is it? It's not Serbia. Somewhere down there. Anyway.
Yeah.
And we got talking about what would be the craziest crossover you can think of, and all those. Well, we obviously all liked the Alita Battle Angel, but what was playing at the time was Stranger Things season 2 and I can't think of the other one now. You just said it before, Lee.
Yeah, we got chaos.
Seems like Lee's wandered off.
Who, me?
No, I just say chaos came back on, Zol.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Lee, you helped me out before. What was the third one?
Dragon Prince, Stranger Things.
Dragon Prince, that's it. Yes, Dragon
Okay.
Prince. Yeah, so Dragon Prince had just finished, and we're all talking about it. I said, "Oh, I wonder if I could combine the three of those."
Holy moly!
So I did. Well, I started with Dragon.
Wait a minute.
At it, but you never got anywhere with it.
This is true. I started with Dragon Prince. I knew what I wanted to do.
Maxie, you started another one and you haven't finished chapter 11 yet.
That's pretty much what everyone writing fanfics does. Is that you have you always need to have a billion unfinished whips, work in progress that might never get finished. Some of them definitely will, but it's hard to say when. You just hope you finish them sometime soon.
No, it was more a case of I was writing them simultaneously because I was still working on the other one at the time.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Okay, well.
I keep telling myself to get back to it. I just haven't yet.
Yeah, well.
I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
I keep telling myself to the two longer fanfics I started, but neither of them are as long as yours or as detailed as yours, so it's probably not a good comparison.
Well, I think if you should write a fanfic or finish yours channel, because you know a lot about Alita, that's for sure.
I already have 2 longer form fics started on my AO3, and one of them is on Alita, and the other one is Angel Friends.
Wow. Well, I can't really complain because
neither are long though.
Because I actually started part 2 of this, and I actually wrote a lot of it. I had AI help me write some of it, and but I've not done anything with it since. So I'm kind of in the same boat Maxie's in, I guess.
I really avoid using. I have a rule for myself that if I'm writing a fanfic purely for myself, like it's something I'd be ashamed to post or a shipped or something that I kind of don't want my account associated with, then I use AI. But if it's something I'm gonna post, I don't use AI for it. I just
Well, I think a problem with AI when it's writing something like a story like that, I mean, it kind of puts together words okay, but when you read it, it's kind of a, okay, no, I don't, this ending is not going to work, or something like this. That's kind of what I've found about it.
AI is good at writing fluff or womp, but it's not good at writing plot.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because if you do anything with AI like that, you got to modify the heck out of it, to make it work. So probably best off just to write it from scratch,
Writing is a big part of the fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm going to read that thing about Alita meeting the Avengers. I gotta see that, because you guys all know I kind of like superhero movies, although I'm kind of tired of MCU stuff. Although I will watch them.
We could do a watch through of the various Mad Max films or something.
Yes.
Eventually, starting with the 1979 one and moving on from there. In order for
yes, that's a great idea, I think. Okay, well, I think we kind of beat this one up pretty good, I think.
I have one Alita fanfic that's really short that I will probably be posting soon once I proofread it.
Okay, cool. Well, let us know, and we'll promote it for you there, channel.
It's kind of like what's the definition of a drabble? Because I'm gonna check how long this is, but it's not like long enough to be worth promoting. Like drab. It's just under 600 words, so it's not a long fic by any stretch.
Well, my fanfic's not that long either, really. I think it's more than 600 words, but it's not that long. It's certainly not long as Blee's or Maxie's. Theirs is novels. So mine's not near that long, so.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have some noveling time and sit down and get on with reading Lee's and then reread mine. And
yeah,
I'm checking the length of the 2 I called my longer fics. The Angel's Friends one is 600 words, and the Alita one is almost 12,000.
Oh, good.
The Angel's Friends one is 6,000 words. The Alita one is almost 12,000 words.
Cool.
11,618.
Nice. Well, that's a pretty nice size story.
There's very little. It's just the one with the movie, but from the except everyone is Alita movie, except everyone is a kid.
Right. There isn't really any critical thought when it comes to AI.
Yeah, that's right.
A person like me always had, or you has.
Yeah, that's kind of what Bad Man's saying there. It doesn't seem. I mean, it's good at writing words, but it doesn't seem to be. I don't know if you can apply the word intelligence to it or not.
Like I said, good for kind of extend padding out fluff scenes or general. It's pretty good at writing fluff or scenes with like descriptions of pain, but it's not gonna get you any. It's not gonna figure out any plot, because plot requires. It's not gonna get a really good It's usually not gonna get a really good understanding of the characters. It might if you're lucky, but it's definitely not gonna get a good understanding of the lore. So if you want something lore heavy, forget about it. And if you have to write it yourself or find some other human who's willing to write it. And if you want something with an actual plot, you also need to plot it yourself or find another human to plot.
You don't want another human to write it. If you want to, you want to write it, right?
I mean you might want a collaboration. You might want to.
Oh, a collaboration. Yeah, that's fine.
Like some people, maybe you have an idea for a scene that you really want to write, but you don't want to put it out of context. So you or an idea that you really want to write, but you're not sure how. So you find another person to write it.
Or let's say you want to write part of your fanfic maybe going to involve something in the military and you don't know it. So what the military is all about. So you ask Lee what it is, and Lee can tell you about the military.
Yeah, I found I was reading one fanfic where someone wrote that this ship should definitely have some kind of more erotic scenes, but the author themselves is so sex repulsed, they wrote it that they would traumatize themselves if they wrote it themselves, but they feel like this fic should have erotic scenes considering how the characters are in canon. So if anyone's willing to collaborate with them and do the erotic scenes for them, they'd gladly put it in the fic. So stuff like that, for example.
Specialists.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Specialist. I just checked the word count for my fanfic and it's nearly 60,000 words. I'm like, shit, I didn't realize it was that long.
You could publish that thing as a book.
How many words has yours got in it, Lee?
Shit.
I was going to say 100,000, but I'm not sure.
Word count 239,410.
Yeah. And you're
I've had to break my stuff up because the Google Docs doesn't handle it very well. They're just too big.
I think any more fanfics I do, which I am going to do another one, is going to be short, kind of like my fanfic that I wrote, for that real short story, because I'm not the writer that Maxie and Lee is, so I'm not. we just keep it short and sweet.
Well, you get better with practice.
Sometimes you need to try a different topic. That's what I've been doing for the last little bit.
Well, I'm pretty good at writing educational materials like courses and stuff like that, but that does not translate over to writing a story. It just doesn't do it.
No.
You can write an educational, like a PSA with Alita in it.
Well, I could do that, but I mean, what I'm talking about is like a course. You're going to teach a course on something. I can do pretty good on that, but that's not a story. I mean, it's more of a.
That's a good skill, but that doesn't translate to being able to write.
That's exactly right. Does not convert over. No. Yeah, first time my brother heard my fanfic, he says, "Man, you got too much He says it's pretty good, but you got too much narration in it." So I said, "Oh boy,
it's the old show don't tell."
Yeah, that's right.
Most people who start writing, they do a lot of telling, especially from your perspective, which is you're constantly telling when you're educating.
Well, it's not so much I'm telling in that my fanfic. When I say narration, I got a lot of Alita says that, Alita says, Lou says, the bartender replies, I have a lot of that when you don't need that,
It looks less bad if you want to if you have two characters that you don't need to say, but if you have three characters or more talking, you kind of need to indicate who's talking. So just vary the says. So it's not says.
Yes.
Things like added, questioned, groaned.
Well, the thing of it is when you got two people talking, the first time you could say, like Alita says something, Alita said, and then Lou respond. And then you got two different voices because they use AI voices. Then everybody knows who Alita and Lou are, you know, so they don't have to, you don't have to keep saying Alita says, you know, after every time she says something.
If it's two people that you don't need to remind the audience, just
exactly.
If it's a long conversation, then every few sentences remind who's talking right now, but just you don't need to do it constantly. But if it's 3 or more people talking, then you unfortunately have to do it constantly, because then it's not clear who's talking if you're not doing it. Unless it's intended to only be listened to, because then you can just rely on the voices. But if it's something that's supposed to also be understandable for someone who's only reading, and it doesn't have their sound turned on, then you need to, if you have 3 or more characters talking, then you do need to indicate who's talking right now.
Bad Man says I could teach a course on Alita. I could. I know a lot about Alita, but I don't know. I don't know as much about Alita as say Maxi or Channel does. That's for sure.
I'm not convinced, Cricky.
And I think it's a big franchise, so it's not that one of us just knows everything about Alita. It's more like knowing a specific niche and being able to guide the conversation towards that niche. I don't know jack shit about martial arts, and that's a major part of the series. I just don't steer the conversation that way because I have nothing to add to the conversation when it does go that way.
Yeah. I know I could teach something about the technology of Alita, can I, Maxi? Because I can put 99 slides together on that one.
Hey, Channel, I don't know if you were, I don't think you were here when I was mentioning it, but I was going to talk about types of sci-fi in Alita, and I think something like the arts you might know a little bit more about. I'm talking because I have a topic submitted for futurism and retrofuturism and how you have both. So you might be interested in being on that one when it happens.
All right. Yeah, well, I've got notifications turned on your channel there, Chaos. So
cool.
I'll get a notification. So I that's how I found out about the one you're doing today. So
I will do one on my own, but I feel like it's also something we could talk about on the air. So and I'm just saying, I think Channel, don't you know anything about the arts channel? Because I think you could do something about that, because there's plenty of art style in the manga.
I'm actually not an expert on art styles as in the nomenclature.
Okay.
Just, I like drawing.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Any active interest before the medical area.
Hey, it's okay. I had to do, it wasn't 4 weeks nonstop, but I just had to spend a couple hours each weekend reading about how retrofuturism and futurism work as art forms. Mm-hmm. So I had to read to do that, to understand that part.
Have an Alita Star Wars crossover. Have Alita fight General Grievous.
I mean, it's possible to learn. We have a lot of things we can read. So I started with the internet, and I read some things at the library about how the futurism art movement and the retrofuturism art came to be, and it was interesting.
And if you look at old enough futuristic art, it looks from your perspective like retrofuturistic.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I can tell you,
futurism started in Italy. That's funny. Late 19th century. So it's interesting.
Actually, futurism was early on popular with World War II, and it was more popular with the Nazi faction.
Right. I'm just saying that there was futuristic art in both Europe, and I had in the presentation I have the thing from the Boston Globe, but both Europe and North America in 1900 were showing how they thought the year 2000 would look. It's pretty funny now, but for them it was futurism, but
flying cars and all that shit.
When I hear retrofuturism,
retrofuturism is Star Wars or Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. That's retrofuturism.
Well, when I think of retrofuturism, I think of the flashbacks in Futurama.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, something that I know Maxi doesn't agree with, but I kind of like to think of Alita and Terminator being in the same extended timeline because of what Ito found in the scrapyard. Maxi doesn't like that, but I love it. But anyway, one thing I
can't quite work out how it would fit, because if you've read any of the Terminator comics, they win. They wipe Earth out and they go off across the galaxy looking for more biologicals to
There's
destroy.
Comics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a number of comics.
Well, I'm talking about the
I only
movie
saw the
universe.
movies.
I'm talking about the movie universe. So anyway,
I only watched the movies and I got confused about the timeline. I didn't know there were comics.
Well,
do you know how complicated the Terminator timeline is?
I got confused about the timeline from the movies alone.
Okay, yeah, it's complicated, but the Terminator comics are a bunch of what-if stories. They don't have any bearing on the movie.
Well, here was my thought, though. Alita discovers the time displacement equipment, from the 21st century, and Ito gets it working again, and then she can time travel to these different places.
That's an idea for a fanfic.
Maxie would hate it.
Would I?
Yeah.
Really? Not everybody needs to love your fanfic. Go write it.
Because I'm tying the Terminator and the Alita verse together.
Well, look, I personally, as a writer, can't see how the two would fit together because of the way they both evolve. But if you can make it work, go for it. I mean, that's the point of fan fiction. You come up with stuff that you would never see on a screen or in a book.
Yeah. Of course, I haven't finished the second part to this yet, so I can't start another fanfic now.
You can. You absolutely can.
You can have a whole bunch on the go, man. You don't have to limit yourself.
And not finish
you can
any
have
of them.
5 works in progress at the same time. I'm not saying it's optimal, but you can.
This works. Or doesn't
and
work,
it's better to have. I think it's better to. I mean, it's definitely not great to have like 20 works in progress because then pretty much all of them are in limbo. But I think it's better to have 2 works in progress than just 1. Because you can kind of flip your attention if you get tired or your brain runs out of good ideas on a subject. And you can bounce them off the other one.
I'll take that under advisement then, as they would say. Okay. Anyway, here's one I do want to check out. Is this one right here? I'm going to check that guy out. I want to see what that's all about. Where she meets the Avengers. I got to see that one. So anyway. Well, guys, we've been going for nearly 2 hours, and Maxie I know he chuckled because he did in my DMs. I messed up the time again. Although, Maxie, I did schedule the time correct for the Radio Chaos stream. I got that one right.
The Radio Chaos stream corrected for my time zone because or just the universal time. When is the?
Oh, so I rocked up at 10:30. Think I was half an hour late, but I was an hour and a half late. Oh, great.
Well, what time is it now there in Aussie land?
It's 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes to 11 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay, so it was.
It's 4 minutes to 1 a.m.
Yeah, because I was looking at what I tweeted out, and I hope I got it right. So I said it's 4 minutes to what now?
1 a.m. over here.
1 a.m. where you are. Yeah, I think that would be. God, I messed that up.
And 11 a.m. here, just about.
So I should have said that AEST would have been 8 a.m. and AEDT would have been 9 a.m. So,
before you draw a line under this, I just wanted to draw something out of what Badman's been saying in the text chat. He's got there, when writing, try not to mix first, second, and third person perspectives. Use unless only sparingly. Yeah. Which I think is an important point. I nearly always go for third person perspective. But I'm actually trying something at the moment in first person. And while you get a lot closer to the character, so you can get into their head and stuff, which is actually important for what I'm writing because the character has an AI in his head talking to him. So there's actually conversations going on that the rest of the people in the scene can't hear.
Yeah.
It makes it really difficult to talk about what's going on that the main character doesn't see or isn't involved with. So you either have to deliberately jump characters and talk first person in another character's head, or you just have to find a way to do it. And there was a series of books which finished. It was about a decade ago now, but I read every single one of them. There was a TV series that was made from them called True Blood. I don't know if anybody.
Yes, I've heard
that.
of it. It's a vampire thing, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just vampires. It's sort of like Louisiana plus supernaturals.
Okay.
Sort of deal, and it's all done. And it's called the something or other mysteries. I can't think of the proper name for the series. I'll have to go and look it up. But it was written in first person, and it was done as a mystery. So it was fine that the main character didn't know what was going on because it was a mystery to be solved, and she was solving it. So that worked up to a point. She got to like the 10th book in the series, and she got stuck. I could see from a writer's perspective, she was like, "Crap!
And now
I need to go to somebody else's perspective. It's just too nebulous. I need to give them what's going on with the kid who's missing."
Well, I think from my novice standpoint, I'm gonna stick with third person. I think because it's easier.
I remember
it's
reading
probably easiest.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer as a school book, and I absolutely despised it because of this. I'm not sure if it was done just in the Polish translation or if it was in the original, but the Polish translation had this thing where the narration was split between present time and past, and not as in the beginning of a chapter is in past and the ending is in present form. So it's kind of like we're catching up to events, or that separate chapters are different times. No, the same chapter would start off present time and then go to past, but the events are happening forward in time, as in we're standing by the store, we're talking, and this one guy runs up to us, and then we were being chased. And it's okay in a conversation, but in a book, please decide if you're doing present or past.
Yeah, Mark Twain or Samuel Clemens does that in his book quite a bit.
It's just so it comes off so unprofessional. And I know it was a bother because I was not. If it bothered me so much as a kid who has zero idea of what writing standards are supposed to be, I just knew that that's bad grammar.
So Mark Twain was unprofessional.
I mean, I'm not saying
I love that.
Maybe the translator was.
Mark Twain basically did whatever the fuck he wanted. He didn't care.
Yeah, and he usually did. Him and Jules Verne both. All right, guys, we've been going now for 2 hours, and the Creek has got to run an errand. So, any very last thoughts about writing fanfics you want to impart to anybody that's listening that's interested in writing fanfics?
Don't listen to anybody else. Just do what the fuck you want and enjoy it. Writing should be for you first. If you want to share it afterwards, and you think that it's good enough, then do so. If you don't think it's good enough, get some people who will give you true feedback. Find some friends that would read it for you and give you like proper feedback. Like they won't just I liked it, or it could have been better. That you want actual feedback, like what bits worked, what bits didn't work. Get some feedback. Don't take it personally. Take it as constructive criticism.
Yes.
And work on your craft. It's just like anything. I mean, artists have to draw and draw and draw and draw to get better. Writers have to write and write and write to get better. But don't like put off an idea for years because you're not a good enough writer.
Yeah.
Write it and then do iterations. Every first draft is a piece of crap. And you can make it better over time and improve your craft, and then you will be a good writer in the end. But you have to do it. It's not a case of one day I will be good enough.
I feel sorry for Lee sometimes because he'll ask me, "What did you think of this chapter?" I said, "Oh, I liked it a lot." That's about all I come up with sometimes.
Well, it's a lot more in frustrating for me because I had people like my girlfriend who was doing beta reading for me, but they've all gotten really busy with other stuff. Like she's always tired after work. She's got some health problems and stuff. She just doesn't have the time anymore. So I've got no beta readers.
Then use the tag "no beta, we die like Hugo."
Well, I'll try to do better, Lee. That's what I'll try.
Well,
to
I'm
do better.
not, you know, demanding it or anything. I mean, if you have something specific that you think you can, you know, convey, that's certainly not going to have a problem with that.
All right.
But if you're just
Lee,
reading
Lee,
it to enjoy
I owe
it,
you some beta reading because you read through my recent novel work. So
well,
I
if you
need
get the
to.
time to.
I
I
need.
once-
I gotta make
I
the
once-
time. That's
I once
important.
did the same chapter to two different beta readers. One of them for like the coherency and the characterization, and another one for the grammar, because the first one really liked the characterization and praised it, but they didn't find any grammar mistakes or spelling errors. I understand that the autocorrect would have been really good, and that's why there were no spelling errors, but I refused to believe my grammar was immaculate, so I sent it to the other proofreader, and there's like a giant list of things that went wrong. So it's not wrong to use two proofreaders if one of them is really good at characterization and the other one is good at keeping the language looking correct.
Well, I wish that the skill of writing technical reports could translate over to writing stories, but it doesn't. Because that's kind of
the quality of a story is subjective, so
yeah.
someone may think you're great, a story you think is great, someone might think it's shit because they're just not interested in it, vice versa. Just because someone says a fic is really bad, maybe you like it because you're not really looking for great quality writing, you're looking to see a certain trope or a certain idea put to life, and that's what matters to you. So
okay.
yeah, if you want to write something, just
do it.
allow yourself to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you can make it amazing, that's even better. But with a fandom, if a fandom is starved for content, they will take even if it's bad. And if a fandom isn't starved for content, then if it's that really bad, people just won't notice it. Either way, you're not risking much, if anything. At worst case, you've wasted an afternoon. Hopefully, at least you had fun.
No, any writing is never a waste.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay,
and you can always go back and rewrite it. There's nothing stopping you doing that. And
even if it turns out
really
really bad, you will later go back, reread it, and have a lot of fun mocking old writing. This is something I've done with a friend. So have fun with it. And again, you're not risking much. Small fandoms love any.
Oh, that's the point. That's the point.
They can get big fandoms. Just ignore the bad one, the bad fix. So.
Well, that's the point, Channel. Just have fun doing it. That's you and Maxie's point. Just if you just write something you really like, and then have fun doing it. Use your imagination, let your mind run free, and just do it. I agree with that. So.
And to people reading fanfic, let their authors
I sometimes feel guilty because I like reading my own stuff, and I'm like, am I too far up myself? I don't know how this works.
I mean, you wrote it, you like it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing, yeah. Okay, guys, the producer wants to kind of bring the stream to the close because I got a really important errand.
I sometimes reread my own fics to see if I introduced a new lore that came out of nowhere that I have to take into account in the next chapter I'm writing.
Okay, I'm going to bring the stream to a close. Lee, any last thoughts?
No, nothing really comes to mind.
Channel, any last thoughts? Did I cut you off a while ago? If I did, go ahead and tell us what you were thinking there. Okay. Maxie.
I gave you my last thoughts.
Oh, all right. Chaos, any last thoughts? He must have had to go off.
He's muted. My last thoughts is just do it. Just write it. Doesn't matter if it's shit. Just write it. You can always improve it.
Have fun and enjoy doing it. Yes, that's it.
It's never set in stone. You can always go back and change it.
Yes.
Exactly. Lee knows all about that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
One thing that Channel did say that I'll reiterate is have more than one project going. So if you get stuck and you can't move forward on it, you can go to the other project and work on that for a while. And maybe while you're working on the second project, the first project will coalesce in your head and you'll be able to go back to it. But having one project and saying, I won't work on anything else till I get this finished is really limiting.
Cool. I'm going to start my second fanfic then.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah.
They can be in different fandoms. They can be the same fandom.
Oh no. I'm going to write about Alita. That's the way that's going to work. So.
He's hooked.
I'm hooked.
He's really hooked.
Yeah, I am very myopic. Did we miss anything, you guys?
Well, we could talk for another hour, but you've got to let you go.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to talk for another hour, but today is corporate tax day, and I got to get my corporate taxes in the mail. So, I got to do that. Okay. Well, anyway, here's our queen right here, and that is Rosa, of course. And, she brought Alita to life. And in terms of being an actress, she is #1 in the Creeks book. That's for damn sure. I want to do a shout out to El Lamont and Jesse Fisher, because they brought Screwhead to life. And, if we want Screwhead back in the sequel in Alita 2, we want her to be on Alita's motorball team when Alita goes up against Joshagon. And,
hey, Creaky.
Yeah.
I'll make that happen for you in my next chapter.
Cool.
Aww.
Oh, I love it. All right. So you're going to have Screwhead in there. I want to see Screwhead and Alita make up is what I want to see, because it's kind of like Elle was saying when we interviewed her, that, she realized that Screwhead realized that she was being used or duped, by Vector. And she's, she comes to a point in her life, why am I doing this? Goes up to Alita, hey girl, I'm with you. Let's burn it all down. So that's kind of what I want to see in the sequel, And all right, Maxie, I'm going to hold you to it when I read chapters 11 and 12. So
yeah, sure.
I almost finished the drawing, and it has the Twinkified version of Dan in it.
Oh, cool.
Twinkified?
Jesus.
No, it like turned him into an emo kid. For the AU.
Well, anyway, with these three ladies right here, they're all really good at what they do. Certainly, Rosa and Elle are really good as actresses, or as Maxie corrects me sometimes, actors. And of course, Jessie Fisher is a great stunt person. So she, they all brought their characters to life. But as I say every week, it sure don't hurt that they're pretty, They're great professionals and they're pretty, and that doesn't hurt one little bit. Maxie, you want to talk about this one?
Well, yeah, the title kind of says it all. We'd like everybody to come along and say what they'd like to see. If it's, I want to see the fight between Zerkapan and Alita, that's fine. If you want to see the Badlands, that could be tricky to get that far into the rest of the story in one movie, but I'm sure they could compress things and swing it, but I think it wouldn't be doing enough favor to what they've got in between. But that's my personal opinion.
Well, they could start. They could start the Badlands maybe, but that's at the end. Yeah, but that's it. I agree.
And if you've got something way out there but still fits into the canon that you'd like to see in ABA2, let us know. We'd love to hear your ideas.
Yes, indeed.
And of course, maybe we could get Rob Royd and James Cameron to have a quick listen to the stream.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
Some ideas from it.
Yeah.
Alita versus the Thing. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I think it depends on what body's Alita in, but if she's in the
definitely not her human body.
Yeah. But if she's in her berserker body or her Imaginos body, yeah, that ain't going to be a very, very long fight.
You'd be surprised that the Thing is surprisingly adaptable and survivable.
It's pretty hard to survive plasma.
Well, it depends. How much of it does she get? If she doesn't get the whole thing, it's going to survive and multiply.
Yeah, does she really hit him with it, I guess? Yeah, that's a good point. So anyway, Maxie, I sent you a DM. I think you put this up as the thumbnail. Should we put the other one up though, because it has the times on it?
Well, this is the one for the thumbnail for YouTube and the background. The other one's the poster for advertising. So
Oh, okay.
I have adjusted for DST, and I will be doing the advertising very shortly. So it'll be out there across X and Facebook and
all right,
Discords.
Well, yeah, because I was going to change it, but I won't. I won't mess with it. So
the information will be out there. It'll be
it'll be there.
And of course, it's all an hour later across the US because you've gone to DST now.
That's right.
I sent to Craig that thing I've been drawing during the stream.
Oh.
Well, if you want to show it real quick, channel we can, but
really.
the creek. Oh, okay.
I mean, you can if you really want to. It's not lewd or anything.
Oh, okay. All right, then I guess that wraps it up. So why is this image here? Well, that image is there is because I like it and I am running the stream. I am the producer. So yeah, that's why it's there.
Wow.
And to paraphrase Grishka, I'm only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, all of us in the Alita Army are only here for our girl. And that just brings us to one last thing to do. And that would be on my count of 3. And that would be the call to action, which we do on this stream and on Radio Chaos. So on my count of 3, and that would be 1, 2, 3. Film
sequels,
baby. All right, so we will catch you next week on the Elite live stream. We'll catch you tomorrow on Radio Chaos. Bye.
Take care, guys.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita live stream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.